Okay, we're gonna see how to deploy the app we have just created onto the iPhone and iPad, and then see how to upload the same app on over the iTunes. So before that, we need to create some certificate and mobile provision files. So we have to log into the developer portals of the we have to log into the developer portal of the Apple. So we just go to the Apple developer portal, which is developer.apple.com. Now we want to go into the member center area where we're gonna log in with our credential. So let's click. So registering on the developers portal is free, so you can register free of cost. But when you enroll for the developers program, you are allowed to create certificate, deploy apps on your device, and also you can upload the apps on the app store. So if you register as a free developer, you won't be having access to iOS provisioning portal, App Store, Resource Center, and iTunes Connect. These are meant only for the paid developers. Now, there are two programs. One is Standard Edition, which is for $99 a year, where any individual or small company can purchase it. And the other edition is $299 a year, which is called Enterprise Edition, meant for the big enterprise. Uh, we're gonna see the Standard Edition. So I have registered as an individual developer, so I have Standard Edition. So I'm gonna go inside the mobile provision portal and see what it is exactly. My mobile provision portal allows you to create certificates, provision profiles, app IDs, registration of devices, and all. So first we're going to see how to create certificates. Now there are two types of certificates which one has to create. One for development and other for the distribution. So if you see, my certificate is already been created and it get expired on the 4th of April 2013. If you have uh, if you want to know how to create a certificate, the best place to see is how to. So once the certificate gets created, you just have to say download, and same with the distribution. So you get .cer file which you can double click and get stored in your keychain access. But that happens once in a month year. So whenever my program is about to get expire, it will give me a renew option, and I just say renew. That's it, and download the certificate. Devices is something you can do once in a year, or might be you might not do for 3-4 years also. Now devices, Apple allows you to add 100 devices for the standard edition, and there's no limit for the enterprise edition. So when you want to say add device, normally click on the add device, and you have to just name the device name. So I normally say name of the person, and I always give the generation of the device so that I come to know who all have which all types of devices. Now how to get a device UDID? You have to just go to connect your iOS device to the click on the iTunes, and once the iTunes detects your device, you just click on the device, and you will see a summary tab for your device. Now if you see there is serial key, right, just click on the serial number, it turns into the identifier UDID. Just say command C if you are using Macintosh, or control C when you are using Windows. So once you get that, you go to the portal and paste it. Now this device has already been added, so I cannot submit it, but this way you can keep on adding. But it doesn't mean that once you have done with your 100 device, you cannot remove some device and say re-add the other ones. It's not allowed. For a year, you can only register 100 devices. The count will increase. Now, this can happen. App IDs is something which we want to do for each app. So we're going to create an app ID for our pumpkin game or the Halloween poster. So we want to create an app ID for our game called Halloween, or I would say Pumpkin Buster. I say Pumpkin Buster. So this is an app ID which I want to create. This is an alias name given to the app ID, but the most important is bundle identifier. I hope you remember when we were creating a new app, there was something called bundle identifier which was getting grayed out. Now we're gonna have something like this. Okay, so my bundle identifier is com.num company name dot the product name. I normally keep the name as the app ID so that once I say pumpkin buster to my engineers, they know what the bundle identifier will be, and I say submit. So once I do a submission, I'll come to the area where all my app IDs are located. I just search for the pumpkin buster and you see it's configured. So by default, in-app purchase and game center are configured, but if you want to use rest of the services, you just have to click configure and configure that app ID with that respective Apple services. Now we have done with the app ID. It happens one for each app. So if you are going to produce an update, you don't have to change the app ID. It will remain same. Now we're going to come to the most important part, which is called provisioning. Now provisioning profile are nothing but it's a file security file which binds the app ID that says which is an app, that binds the developer certificate, so it knows who have produced the app, and it binds the user device UDID. So if these three matches properly, it says okay, it's a valid to deploy. So I say I have to create a new profile. I normally give the same name as the app ID so that mapping becomes easier. Now here I bind the certificate, then I bind the app, and then I bind the devices. And that's the submit. So once I do a submission, and come on the, so I say pending. So I just say refresh. So once I do a refresh, I will find my profile active. I just say download, save. Now same thing I want to do with my distribution profile. So at the same time I create both the profiles. So one for the ad hoc development and other for the distribution to the app store. So I say create the profile. I say I want to distribute to an app store. So I say, but here you have to make sure your profile name differs from the developer profile, because then it will say duplicate profiles. So by default certificate gets selected. I select, and when you select the app store, he doesn't allow your app should not be constrained to the 100 devices which you have added. It should be to all end users. So the device registration happens by the Apple with some magical soft stuff. But if you do ad hoc, then you have to select the devices on which that particular app can be deployed. So we say we want to go for App Store, and I say submit. So my app got submitted, and I see and I see my profile got created and it's active. I say download, and I say save file. So both of my profile have been downloaded. The certificate is already configured on my machine. If you want to export the certificate from this machine to another machine, it's a simple procedure. Go on the spotlight, say keychain access. It will open the keychain, and you will find here it's the distribution certificate. Just have to click export, and it will prompt you for some password. So say desktop, save. You're gonna ask for the password for the this export. I type in the password and say okay. That's it. So you can export the certificate. This is an export certificate which you can deploy it on any other machine if you want to, and that's it. Now we're gonna go back to our project. So I open my workspace and oops. So uh, hello. Okay. So now let's go back to the workspace. And the last tab which we have created, or last exercise which we have done, was how to port an app to the iPad. Now we open that same project and we saw the app run successfully on the simulator. Now it's time to deploy it on the device. So before doing that, we have already downloaded the file. So I just click on the organizer. It's organizer window opens. It checks my phone is connected. It's okay if you don't have your phone device connected also, it's okay. There is something called library. There are 5 tabs. Please select on devices and there's something called library. Click on the mobile provision and there's an import button. Just click on import, go to your downloads folder and you want to find 2 of your profile which you have just created are there. So we're going to import both of them and both of them are valid profile. Just close, come back to your project, click on the project file. So when you click on the project file, you will be presented by the settings in the editor window. There are 2 types of settings. One is for project, other is for target. So we're going to do for target. Now for the apps to the minimum version, you want to say we want to deploy to 4.3, it's universal. And you see there are 5 tabs: summary, info, build settings, build phases, build rules. We're going to go in info. Now, it's a property file, so the most important property out here for deployment is bundle identifier. Now you have to give the name same as what you have given while creating an app ID. So for creating an app ID, we give a the map info tag dot pumpkin buster. So this helps if you have the same name for throughout, for profile, for app ID, for bundle identifier, it becomes simplified. So my bundle identifier is same. I just give a name, say pumpkin blast or buster. This name will appear at the below, but it seems to be too long, so I just reduce this to pumpkin. So oops, this is not the one. We want to use bundle display name. This is one. The string which you add here will appear below your icon on the iOS device. Now let's go back to the screen. We only support 2. We don't have support for the landscape. And if you see, there's an icon specified. So when you click on here, it says select file. So we're going to select an icon file for our project. So we're going to go inside and we're going to go for the icons, and we have the icons. So we have an icon for 57. I say choose. So icon got selected. Similarly, we have an icon for the so I have icon for my iPad too. That's selected. Now if you want to have a launch image, and you can have your retina display icon which is double the size of the actual. Sorry, I prepared the retina icons so I cannot import them. Now you have launch images also, which comes an animating image which comes, right? So if you want, you can have that too. Before going with that, let me check whether we already import or not. Okay, so we're gonna import some launch image, the image which comes with a. So I go inside, I go and I find some images for myself. Okay, so here I find some images for my, so I say default, I will choose. So I got default image for my, that's the issue because it automatically took the, for the, so I say delete and I re-enter for the iPad. So I select, go, I check, and I say choose. So then I got for my both images. So there's some issue happening out here. Okay, no issues. We're gonna say it wanna take care. Okay, now we are back to the settings. So there's some issue. This is where you select your icons and the default image. Now the most important setting is in the build settings. So we're gonna go inside build setting and you're gonna find something called code signing. Now that code signing allows you to integrate a profile which has a security keys like which is an app ID, what is a device, and what is a. So when you click, you see you have Pumpkin Buster. Two of them are selected, and else all are grayed out. You have to select Pumpkin Buster because we are using for development right now. It says identify matches to the one which you mentioned. So we're gonna select for the debug mode. We're gonna select for the release to. So once you have done this, the same procedure you have to follow for your project settings. So inside your project, you have to go again back to build settings, select Bumble Buster. That's it. You're done. So deploying an app for the iOS device is damn simple. You just import your profiles, go to your target setting, inside target setting, go inside info, set your bundle identifier, and then inside your build setting, you just do a code signing of the respective profile, and you're done. Same thing you apply for your project settings. You just select code signing with the appropriate profile. Now, if you everything goes well, you want to find that your device name will appear in the list. I select my device because my deployment target is also well set below 6.0. I want to support till 3.0. Oh, sorry, 4.3. So I have done all the things and then I say run. So it will compile, do sandboxing, back sandboxing and everything, and my app will start running on my device as it is running on the simulator while we were creating this app. So the app started. So app started running on my device and you see here some logs coming in. So wow, beautiful. Now suppose I have my device connected to the Xcode. So directly a run can install it. What if I need to send create an IPA file? I need to give it to my developer team or the tester team. We're gonna test this app. Who doesn't have the Xcode? So do not worry. You can easily export the your archive into the IPA. Now inside your Xcode menu there is a product. Inside product you will see an option called archive. Now this option is only active when you select device. Even though your device is connected or not, in a scheme, it should be device, iOS device or the device connected. And I say archive, it will start creating a bill for your archiving, and then it will open up the organizer for you. So It says will succeeded and archive succeeded. Do not worry, the icon automatically comes up in your IO, and you can also see the estimate size. It's 401 KB. It gives you the project when it was created. I want to select distribute. Now I'm not submitting to the App Store right now. I just want to do an ad hoc distribution or deployment. So I click say next. It will just create, and I say yep, I want iOS name of development because I have code signed with my developer's ID. So just make sure you code sign with the appropriate ID so that an IPA gets created properly. So it just says now save as project one. I say no, I need pumpkin buster as my IPA name. I say save on my desktop. Some of I save in my workspace. I say save. So when you save, it saves the actual IPA file. If you see, an IPA file has got created. Now you just have to email to the concerned person, but along with this file, you have to also make sure you email the mobile provisioning file. So when a user or the other user, when he downloads the file, he will download two files: mobile provisioning and the IPA file. He will just drag and drop into the iTunes and say sync inside the apps section. So what happens first, the mobile provisioning file gets installed, and then that file is used to validate your app for installing. Now the mobile provisioning file you need not to submit every time, because if you're not changing it, so you just have to give it IPA file every time. Now that's meant for the ad hoc development, or you can call ad hoc distribution of the file for the ad hoc deployment.